Chapter 7. After the police and paramedics arrive on the scene, the feds show up shortly after. I'm asked a series of questions and brought to the deputy director's office. He knows of the relationship I share with Dr. Winston, so initially he offers me his condolences. His death, he says, is being ruled officially as an overdose. That's when I present him with the voicemail the professor left me moments before his departure. He tells me that he more than likely was in a state of paranoia brought on by the overindulgence of narcotics. That's when I begin to feel like I'm not making any headway with presenting the facts of the doctor's death. The deputy director has put up a wall, and unfortunately for me, I'm unable to penetrate it. In a moment of misplaced loyalty, I think to myself, fuck it, and decide to drop the bomb about Project Nephilim. I show the deputy director the video of the 4-foot green creature with the enormous anomaly for a head fornicating with the hooker. Then I tell him about the adolescents in the military-style bunker and how they were studying books that should way beyond their comprehension levels. My rant continues, and I relate to him about how I was attacked by an assailant who ratted out his beneficiaries, explaining the entirety of what was going on behind all of this and how they were behind the death of Harold Johnson. Lastly, I tell him about how I wired up Nikki in an attempt to catch some military-looking types who were supposedly behind a string of abductions consisting of high-class strippers and prostitutes, and how she was kidnapped. The deputy director asked me if I'll testify to everything I've stated. I assure him that I more than certainly will. Then, in the blink of an eye, my body stiffens and I fall to the floor with electricity moving through my body, leaving me paralyzed. In the midst of this, I realize that I'm being tasered. But why is this happening? Then it hits me. The deputy director is in on this conspiracy too. Suddenly, I feel a pinch on my neck, and then I'm out cold. Sometime later, I wake on a gurney surrounded by doctors and nurses wheeling me around in a hospital-like setting and think to myself, Jesus, this reminds me of what must have happened to Nixon at the end of his life when he supposedly started to lose his mind telling people the truth behind the Roswell cover-up. Suddenly, I reach the inside of a room and see a doctor with a big syringe in his hands. Then he sticks it into my neck and plunges its contents into me. Instantly, I feel like I'm in a trance. The nurses proceed to attach some gadgets to my head, and I feel a burst of electricity flow through me. I don't know what happens next, but the scenery around me begins to change. My late grandfather appears and walks up to me as I'm laying incapacitated on the gurney. "The hell are you doing, you dumb son of a bitch, lying there in defeat? If I have to tell you once, I know I've told you 1,000 times. Get that shit for brains head out of your ass and quit acting like a goddamn pissant. Get up and get back into that ring and hit that goddamn son of a bitch right in his tiny little nuts. The whole 1-2 drop him. If you do as I say, I guarantee that quicker than shit you'll clean that poor bastard's clock and leave him with his dick in the dirt." As my late grandfather finishes saying this, he motions a low jab below the belt with his left and an uppercut with his right. "Now go on, boy, make me proud." He quickly vanishes and my late grandmother appears. "Honey, I know you're destined for great things. Don't listen to your grandfather talking about using violence as an answer. Fight with your mind. That is so much stronger than flesh and bones. I know you're one smart cookie. You'll eventually figure this out." She waves at me and quickly vanishes as well. Jesus Christ, no wonder I'm so messed up. The people that raised me, all they ever taught me on one side of the spectrum was to punch people in the balls to resolve conflicts, and on the conflicting other side was to fight with my mind. The hell does that even mean? When I come into adversities with others, am I supposed to tap into some type of comic book superpower and administer its forces towards my opponent? I still don't know what she was trying to tell me, so thanks Grandma and Grandpa for the vague lessons you taught me about life. Just know that you are partly responsible for helping create this monster that I am today. I now see myself as an adolescent. I must be about 12 years of age. I'm back at the playground in my old elementary school, standing in front of Joey the Fist Marconi, the school and neighborhood bully. It's funny, the way life works sometimes, because the Fist grew up to become a wise guy, and after being indicted on the RICO Act is serving a 25 to life sentence, and here I am, a federal agent. A group of kids surround us and begin to chant, "Fight, fight, fight." Then Joey chimes in, "All right, Charlie, put your dukes up and come and get this knuckle sandwich." I remember being completely terrified. At the top of my lungs, I started screaming. Then I charge at Joey with all of my strength and deliver a hard kick right to his genitals. His eyes go cross and he grabs his smashed privates and falls over. The kids surrounding us start chanting, "Charlie, Charlie, Charlie." Miss Appletree, our fourth grade English teacher, comes running up to us and sees Joey on the ground holding his privates and rolling around in agony. "Charles Thompson, what have you done?" She grabs me by my hand and brings me into her classroom. I remember being in complete shock when she told me she wasn't going to report the incident to the principal because Joey had it coming, and she wasn't worried about anybody snitching because none of the other children would dare narc on Joey for fear of retaliation. That's when she handed me a book by Mark Twain entitled The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and from then on, I fell in love with literature. Miss Appletree was a godsend to me, and even though I became a degenerate drug addict, she saved me from becoming a complete criminal, which could have ended up similar to Joey's life had she never intervened the way she did. I now see myself in college, reading books from authors like Kurt Vonnegut, Hunter S. Thompson, and Ken Kesey, and experimenting with many different forms of drugs. Then I see myself walk into Dr. Thomas Winston's classroom and for the first time in life find a man who shares the same common purpose in life that I do, to wreak havoc on the conventions and structure of society from within, better known as the cause. And the scene changes. I awake to the deputy director and a doctor at my bedside, talking amongst themselves. Was the procedure successful? The tests showed that indeed it was. They noticed me awakening and turned to face me. "Agent Thompson, do you know why you are here, lying in this hospital bed?" "I'm not sure. I remember some scuffle at a casino and then everything goes blank." The doctor whispers to the deputy director, "I told you." "Agent Thompson, you were attacked shortly after leaving a casino in what appears to be a robbery. I regretfully have to inform you that the assailant got away and is still at large. Also, during the attack, you sustained a blow to the head that has left you in a coma until now. Welcome back. Oh, and before I forget, I'm sorry to inform you that your friend Dr. Thomas Winston passed not long ago from an apparent drug overdose." He hands me my badge and gun. "You may take sufficient time to rehabilitate, but once you feel better, I want you to report back in for duty. The government requires your expertise in the fight against crime. I look forward to having you back." He extends his hand and we shake. Then he turns around and leaves the room. After that, the doctor hands me a prescription bottle of Vicodin and sends me on my way. As I'm leaving from the hospital, I begin to question what's going on here. I just woke up out of a coma and the professor is dead from an overdose. That doesn't make any sense. Even though he overindulged a little, the professor was always very careful never to exceed any amount of dope that would become fatal. I don't know what's going on, but I intend to find out. As I'm contemplating everything that's going on, I pop a couple of the Vicodin and walk out of the hospital.